What does it look like when helping others becomes more than an idea? When it becomes a career, a daily routine, and a desk covered in papers that actually shape people's lives? When I walked into her office at Rockville City Hall, the room told her story even before she said a word. Stacks of papers, shelves of organized files, volunteer photos on the walls, and right there on her desk, toys. She laughed and explained her son had visited the day before. Her laugh set the tone for everything that followed in our conversation. My name is Michelle, and I'm a student, an immigrant, a woman of color, and a first-time ethnographer. This is the story of what I found out when I sat down to listen, but really listen to someone whose life looked different from mine, and yet it was not so far away. Before this project, I thought I knew what political meant, but I also carried something important into this research, my own culture. I'm an immigrant, a woman of color, a college student, a small business owner. In anthropology, we call this reflexivity. The idea of who you are shapes what you see. My culture and background taught me to work hard, stay humble, and really not ask for too much. Those are values, learned, passed down through family, through necessity, through survival. That shaped how I interpret everything Anastasia said. Immigration is one of my deepest concerns, tied to the people I love. But for Anastasia, it was not a top priority. She focused on education, local housing, and childcare. That difference was uncomfortable at first, but I had to resist the urge to see her priorities as wrong. That is the challenge of cultural interaction. Even when two people share values together, their lived experiences lead them to different conclusions. Anastasia grew up in a family that struggled. Her mom and she couch surfed for a period, eventually landing in public housing. And instead of stepping away from the experience, she stepped into it. And she told me, my mom worked in schools and my dad was a firefighter, and so I was definitely raised to believe that we can have a positive impact in our community. Here I'm bringing a for direction, and this is key in anthropology. Culture is not fixed, it changes through time and place. Anastasia took the hardest part of her childhood and built it into a career, making sure others don't fall through the same cracks. She also said something that stopped me. Most of us are concerned about just being able to provide for our kids. In my own cultural background, conversations at a playground with kids stay surface level. But for Anastasia, community was the natural place to process fear and struggle. Different expressions, same human concerns. That is what anthropology shows us. Differences between cultures doesn't mean one way is better. They mean we arrive at different places through different roads. Now, who gets listened to in politics is shaped by race, gender, class, history. Anastasia lived that as a young woman and chose to challenge it. She told me most political institutions are relatively about protecting the current power. What is said in public and what happens in private often do not match. Anthropologists call this hegemony, how power maintains itself not through force but through shaping what we believe is normal. She works inside the system and still questions it. I want to be honest about what this research felt like. I was nervous, and anthropology requires courage. To sit with discomfort, to ask questions you don't know the answers to, and to listen without judging. It requires sensitivity, openness, and curiosity. And that is not just good research practice, that is what makes us better humans across cultural lines. I walked into that office thinking that I was going to study someone else's world. I walked out realizing how much I had learned about my own. We live in a continuum world, always moving, always changing, shaped by history, geography, and the everyday choices of people, like Anastasia, people like me, and people like you. The question now is not whether culture shapes us. It does, always. The question is whether we are brave enough to examine how.